looks like I'm like, no, I'm topless. Okay, here's my top, you guys.
Hey girl, I know we're in lockdown, but we gotta be a little decent, okay?
I know, my bad. Okay, ja. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent.
Yeah,
I'm
just
so
gonna.
excited.
You guys, coffee is a real drug. I saw the time and I ran to make coffee in like 2 minutes.
I'm drinking White Claw because it's Saturday.
I was like, am I really rushing right now to like just get this cup of coffee? That's so funny.
I love it. I love it. You look great. I'm glad that you got your coffee.
Oh, thank you. I also just blow dried my hair. It's super poofy right now.
Looks
It's
good.
okay. Thank you. We're all wearing our quarantine suits these days. Oh, you look
Yeah.
amazing as always.
Oh, thanks.
Very
I
glam.
had to do the bun because Pilates. Pilates came first.
We're super excited about this episode, you guys. It's going to be so good. We were talking earlier and it's very juicy and we're going to have a lot of perspective. So make sure to stay on.
Yeah. Lissette's comment is making me laugh.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's going to be about, I know, we're going to give you an update. We're going to start with an update about where we are, and then we're going to talk about detoxing different areas of your life. So it's perfect for what's happening right now. And we really, really want to bring joy into your life and excitement and empowerment during this time, which we would think, it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't, we're thinking right now we're trapped, we're stuck, there's uncertainty, there's fear, but this is very counterintuitive. So just be open to that, to reacting in a way that's not like normal. And so yeah, it's we'll start with some facts, and then we're going to talk about how to detox areas of your life, including your home, your mind, your body, your social circle, your money spending habits, and your credit score. So there's a lot of good information, guys. Make sure you stay logged on. So Veronica and I were talking earlier, and we were talking about how amazing it is that we're sort of on two ends of the spectrum, where in LA, it's almost like the rules are tightening up a little bit, and she's in Atlanta, where it opened up. Not only they have completely opened up, but it's the first state to, start opening up non-essential businesses. So let's start with some facts. I'll start with what I saw this morning on Worldometers. There are currently 2,110,632 active cases, not total cases that have been reported, but active cases of COVID. And out of those currently infected, 2% are in critical condition. I know 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you consider the volume, it's a high number. In California, we've had a total of 50,442 cases confirmed, and 24,215 have been in Los Angeles. So that's almost half of all the cases in California have been reported in Los Angeles, where I'm living. So that's a huge number. I didn't even know that before looking at these stats. So with that in mind, the mayor, Eric Garcetti, came out saying that the May 15th stay-at-home order wasn't going to be the deadline, which was May 15th, was not going to be actually, was not going to happen. He's going to extend the deadline. But he also reassured everyone that it's not going to be like all the doors are going to open and suddenly we're having this big celebration. It's going to be a very gradual opening, and it's going to take time to come back to a regular life, and a lot of things may not be the same, which is why I love that Veronica's in Georgia, where the state opened up, and what's happening there. So why don't you share some information about Georgia with us?
Of course, yeah. What I love about our show, Maribel, is that we constantly have this juxtaposition between our lives and between what's going on. So we really do cover, the full spectrum for our audience, and I love the contrast. And so with that, I'll say that Georgia, the governor decided to open non-essential businesses starting Friday, April 27th. That includes and is not limited to bowling alleys, beauty salons, nail shops, barber shops, and even massage parlors. So it's been quite a controversial decision by the governor. And if you've been, watching the news a little bit, you've seen that there's been some backlash against the governor of Georgia, and he's kind of also butting heads with the mayor of Atlanta because she doesn't agree that these non-essential businesses should open. So it's been very interesting. And I'll say some of the data points that on Friday, Georgia had about 26,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And then when they opened, they had 1,000 new cases. So we don't see them following the trend of when the cases start going down, we're going to open. It's been a lot quicker here. The good thing is that a lot of small businesses that we go to have sent us messages, texts, emails, and posted on Instagram that they're not going to be opening yet, that they don't feel comfortable, that they're going to wait and continue to monitor the situation. So despite, what the governor said, I think that there are a lot of people who are being prudent about it and really following the guidelines that the CDC has put out there. So I am seeing now a lot more people wearing masks here, and but a lot more traffic on the street for sure. I've definitely noticed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we're learning, and Georgia's really going to sort of set the stage of what it's going to look like, right? By opening up during this time, it's really going to show, is there going to be a reactivation of new cases?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to sort of set the tone of what it's going to look like for the rest of the country. So the fact that you're saying that some non-essential businesses are allowed to open, but some are choosing not to, and those that are open are taking precautionary measures, we can expect that to happen here as well.
Right.
There may be business owners who say, you know what, I know that we're allowed to open now, but we're just going to take our time and we're not going to be available for another however long they decide.
One other thing that I did notice is the businesses that are opening, they're taking a lot of precautions, as you said. They're really being careful, and they're making sure that people within their commercial space are still socially distancing. So they've marked seats where people can't sit. They're still spreading things out, and everything just takes longer because of the disinfecting process for their employees and for their clients. And it's pretty organized. I've definitely seen more security and security guards telling people to step away and give people space and things like that. So we'll see how it plays out. But there are, I think there were 33 new deaths on Thursday. So now the death toll here is about 1,140. So, it's basically half of what's going on in California, if not less. So thereby goes the reason why it's a state by state scenario, and then we all still have to take responsibility for ourselves and choose to do the responsible thing, right?
Yes, there's a lot of freedom of choice right now, that's for sure. Is what we can control, what we can't control, and what are our choices around that. So with that, we can start jumping into our content for the episode. So we're going to start with the idea of detox. So we hear about, juice detox and diets and things like that. But this is such a great time to think about what other areas of our life do we want to detox? So we want to just get rid and eliminate the things that don't serve us anymore. So two words that come to mind for me are elimination and essential. So and it goes hand in hand with what's happening with the pandemic, because we want to eliminate it and our essential workers are keeping us going through this time. So the same exact idea goes into other parts of our life. So for home, and I've taken this on too, is just getting rid of old items and clothing and paperwork. I went through some of my drawers and I sat down and I had so much paperwork and I went through every single one and I was dreading it. It wasn't fun because it's so much paperwork. But I said, I've been wanting to do this for years,
literally.
Years.
Me too.
Yeah, and I haven't actually sat down because I'm scared of seeing this pile of paperwork, and I don't have to deal with it right now, so just kind of push it to the side. But I went for it. I took out all this paperwork. I went through it, threw out bags, and I still have more to do. So that's a huge one, is getting rid of old paperwork. It's almost like, so let's think of it as a milestone in our lives. Like, okay, where are we now? What stuff have we been holding on to? And then what can we eliminate for the next era of our lives? So paperwork, clothes, if you have not worn them for a year, that's an indicator that they can go. So that's something that I've also been doing. And also disinfecting. I mean, we're disinfecting anyway, so it's disinfecting areas that we normally don't really think about, doorknobs, you know, the fridge handles and things like that.
The light switches.
The light switches, exactly. Going around doing that. So what have you been detoxing from your home, Vero?
You know, it's so interesting. I'm going to share a little bit of my personal situation right now. I was planning to be in LA to finish moving out of the house I was living in. And actually my best friend, shout out to Brendy right now, is moving a lot of paperwork from the garage to a storage unit for me, because I have a lot of paperwork and documents that I've held on to for a long time, and I do want to get rid of it, but I'm also wanting to write a book, and I do have a feeling in my gut that there's stuff in that paperwork that I could use. So it's gonna go in a storage unit for now. So we're decluttering a garage, and we're gonna just put it away nicely in the storage unit. But you know, if you can't really go through it all, if some of you are still working from home and it's just impossible, if you can, you know, make some more extra space by taking it out of your house and then setting a time when you're going to deal with it later, definitely do that. In terms of the home, I did the Marie Kondo process when I was moving, and so I would recommend to our viewers to set aside some time over multiple weekends or multiple days, because it's a lot, and it can also be not just physically draining to go through stuff, but it could be emotionally draining, especially if you are going through every item and you're like, does this bring me joy? And some things remind you of stuff, and it can be a lot. So, you know, clearing, and then research also shows that clearing out your physical space helps you create more mental space as well. So be cognizant of that it is something super productive for you emotionally and physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. There's a feeling of happiness and refreshed, you know, I love that word. After, like, if we spend a day cleaning and detoxing and getting rid of paperwork, and then there's an actual physical emotion,
like a release.
Like release. Yes, totally. So that's so cool. Okay, so let's move on to mind. Vero, you can take this one. You can start this one off.
I am going to reiterate my tip, which is do not complain. Catch yourself when you are complaining or when you're listening. So, you know, if you're about to join in with somebody who wants to just complain, catch that and stop yourself and fill it in with something positive. As I've mentioned, when we are getting rid of these habits that don't serve us, we need to fill that space in with something positive to make the payoff worth it. So do your very best to not complain. And if other people are complaining, you know, do your best to disengage and or be that positive person that actually turns it around. And you don't have to be annoyingly positive, but certainly focus on the positives for you. Like, don't tell people how to be or think. Just say, you know, that's interesting. I did feel that as well. But the other positive thing that came from this is XYZ. And go from there. That's my big tip for the mind. And the other tip for the mind would be to play around with starting a meditation practice so that you can notice your thoughts and know that you're not your thoughts, but also just get familiar with how your mind works. The mind thinks a lot of things. It thinks good things, bad things, perverse things, awesome things, and we are not our thoughts. And so just getting really familiar and dipping your toe in the water of meditation is certainly a great way to detox your mind.
I love that. Oh my God. And I feel like you're in Bali right now with the greenery in the background.
It's my real backyard.
Oh,
Isn't
nice.
that crazy?
Yeah, it's
so
beautiful.
nice. Yeah.
It's so pretty.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I was gonna echo the meditation part. Hey, Sandy, we love you. The meditation part, and also breathing for the mind, and gratitude. And it's so perfect how those two are coming together right now, because what we're dealing with right now, the issues are, one of the symptoms is difficulty breathing. And so a lot of us, I'm sure, if not all of us, have, we feel something in our throats, or, we're coughing, and then we're like, oh my gosh, is this, do I have this thing? But when we realize we don't, and we breathe, we can be so grateful for our breathing. And that's something that we can do every single day. But it's highlighted right now because a lot of people don't have that advantage. And I read something, I think it was something online, that said you're 3 seconds away from death, but when you breathe, the clock starts over.
So, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. So our breathing is literally keeping us alive every few seconds. And so we're at the mercy of that, and it's a beautiful thing. And I really feel like for our minds, it's gratitude and breathing are so essential to consider. And another thing I was going to say is try to go a few days or a couple days with no TV. A lot of people don't watch TV at all, and practicing, I know that it's hard because we're stuck at home and we want to watch Netflix and TV, but going a couple days without TV is also a detox for the mind, because we're not so engaged in, what we're watching. We could just go into our inner selves and detox our minds in that way.
100%. And what we watch, I'm so glad you brought that up. What we watch really does have an impact on our emotional and physical state. Our body hasn't evolved and mind hasn't evolved to understand that the stuff that we see on screens isn't real. And so our body thinks that it is real, which explains like horror movies. We have a physical response to that. And same goes with the news. Even the channels that I trust, it's still just counting the number of cases and deaths. They don't bring up like the recovery. They're not super focused on the positives. It's really, causes stress in your body. So not only that, the second thing I'll say is for when we stop looking at screens, it gives our eyes the opportunity to rest those muscles. And actually, it's good to take in a view like this one behind me, so that your eyes get a break and they get to feel refreshed, and we can take advantage of being home.
Love that. All right, we're gonna move on to body. So Veronica, I've been watching some of your videos and your Pilates, and I love when you post those. But there are different ways to detox our body. So it's what we do physically, and it's also what we put in our body. So one of the habits that I've been taking on is drinking water every single morning, and also eating less. And the reason I say that is because I'm moving less, without living a regular normal life and walking from one place to the next, or going to certain places. Our bodies are moving less overall. And so we don't need the same amount of energy / calories. So I've been eating definitely not 3 times a day. I've been eating twice a day. Sometimes I snack a couple of times and I have one meal. But really, if we don't take care of our bodies right now, it's going to be so easy to let go. And so having some sort of standard, right? And it doesn't mean like we have to stress ourselves out over it, but having some sort of standard of like, okay, today I'm not really going to do much with my body, so I'm going to take in less calories and less energy. If we make this an excuse to eat that tub of ice cream or eat all the entire cake, you know, it's going to have effects as well. So I think just being cognizant of what we're putting in our bodies, and it's a perfect time to see what our habits are as far as like how much we move and then how much we consume, so that when this is over, we have that in mind already. We are cultivating that habit for the long term. What are your thoughts, Beto? Body detox.
I love that. As you mentioned, have been doing Pilates. I try to do it every day to detox my body. And shout out to Angie Dalmau. I know she joined our live. She's my Pilates teacher from LA. She's been putting Pilates classes on every single day and for 6 weeks. So I feel that I need to take advantage of it and really move my body, because I started noticing that, you know, the chocolate I was eating and the brie I was eating started showing up on my physical body. And I know that it took me time for it to show up. So I'm going to gently and move into stepping away from the chocolate and moving into my body more. And
easier said than done. I know.
I know, but you know, a good trick is get it out of your sight. Like, make it really hard for you to get the thing that you love to eat but isn't as healthy for you, and replace it with something that is healthy and good for you and that you can enjoy. Like, maybe figure out a tea that you really like. I've been drinking mango green tea and sipping on that throughout the day, and just sipping on hot water throughout the day also super hydrates our cells. And so being mindful of that, and really working out has been a savior for me, because it's helped me not just tone up, but also take a break from my thoughts. Angie's really big on the breath work, and we do a lot of breath work in that class at the end and at the beginning, and releasing the stress and releasing the angst and breathing in peace and love. It really does something for our bodies. So it's awesome.
Yes, love it. I was also going to say, having self-pampering days. Like, I don't know if you all have that, but sometimes I just like to have a day where I pamper my body and myself. And so what that looks like is taking a shower, I have this little foot massager where I put water in it and it sort of vibrates, and then doing my nails, doing my hair, moisturizing, and just setting some candles. And so for the body and the mind, actually, is just having those self-pampering days. And another thing for the body is pay attention to your posture. Chances are we're sitting down a lot, we're on our computer, we're, you know, just kind of slouching. So paying attention to our posture and highlighting, like, what is our body doing when we're not actively on the go. And so that's another thing. Like, my posture, I've noticed it because I'm on the computer so much these days, just at home. And because I'm home and nobody's watching, it's so easy to just like slouch.
Yeah.
Right? So pay attention to your posture. And another habit you want to take on after this is over. And one really important one that I don't want to forget, because we talked about this before, Vero, too, is trauma lives in the body. And we know that through self-experience and what we've gone through. So trauma, your body is like, it's almost like a sponge that holds on to certain things, and trauma is one of them. And the importance of really paying attention to our body sensations in the morning when we wake up, throughout the day. Is our heart beating fast? Are we feeling hot? Are we cooling off? I find that when I'm in a stressed state, I feel hotter, my body temperature rises, and there's almost like a feeling of burning. And then when I'm able to get myself to, like you said, Veronica, we're not our thoughts, I feel like a sense of cooling down almost in the body. So that's an important one, is definitely get present to what the trauma has been and how your body is holding on to that trauma.
Exactly. The body does not forget. It does not lose count. And even though the mind sometimes blocks out trauma to protect us, the body doesn't forget, and it's trapped sometimes, you know, in our cells. So at a cellular level, we have reactions that we don't know where they come from, but becoming present to them is the first step. And then from there, working with a professional to address it and figure out why is this reaction happening. So yeah, and being gentle about it is super important.
Okay, I lost you for a second, but I love what you said. Yes, prepare to get to know your trauma, get familiar with it so that you can later go to a professional and address that. Let's talk about detoxing our social circle. What do you think about that? What have you done to detox that?
Our social circle is one of the, if not the most important factor in our lives, because they have a huge influence on how we behave. Think about how easy it is to pig out and eat junk food when everybody in your crew is like, let's get pizza and let's get bacon and let's and do the things, right? And then how easy is it to support your goals if you want to eat healthy when everybody in your group is like ordering the salad, or everyone's ordering, you know, something lean? And even if you're craving pizza, you're not gonna be the one that's ordering that, because your social circle is critical to accomplish your goals. And so I want to emphasize this, that, you know, detoxing our social circle is hyper important in this time. And right now we are spending more time online. So what I've done is I've looked at the people that I follow, the accounts that I follow on Instagram, and detox those. I literally, if I see something that's not cool, that I don't agree with, I'm like, unfollow, bye, we're not friends anymore. And it really, really helps me stay positive and then really curate again my feed, because we are spending more time on our devices. So going through my friends list and clearing that out has been helpful, and noticing how I feel after I talk to certain people, if I feel energized, inspired, or if I feel drained, being mindful of that and seeing if I can be more of the thermostat in the relationship and set the tone for a positive and fruitful and energizing conversation, instead of just being like the thermometer where I go to whatever level they're at, and if they're in a bad mood, I get in a bad mood, you know? So it's it's a lot of awareness, but it's totally paid off. And I feel very, very close right now to my friends. Even though I'm very far, I feel like we've gotten even closer than before.
Yes, that's so true. I love that. I love everything you said, because I also was going to talk about detoxing our social circle virtually too. But before I get to that, is like you said, our social circle is such a tremendous influence in who we are and our behavior and our habits. And so this environment, what we're going through, is really supporting us looking at our social circle and considering, is this someone who I want to keep connecting with and who I want to keep a relationship with? Or is this someone who I want to eliminate from my life? And the importance of like not approaching it as like, this person is terrible and I hate them, because that's anger that you're holding inside you, but just allowing them to be who they are without them coming into your life in a way that's peaceful and that serves you, because this is about your peace of mind, your life, your healthy habits. And so if you're holding a grudge with someone, you know, that's power that's over you, and you're not able to be completely happy and have peace around that. Again, I once heard a quote that said that holding on to anger or a grudge is like holding a hot coal and expecting it to hurt the other person. So I love that way of looking at things. It's like, that person isn't, you know, feeling this anger is hurting me. You know, releasing that and then making a list. So I don't eliminate everyone that I disagree with on social media, because I think it's also healthy to be able to be with negative comments without sparking like, you know, a huge effect on how we feel. It's totally normal. And the more you do with your life and the more people you come across, the more negativity you're going to experience. And so there's power in learning to just allow that to be. But I will say that there are 3 types of relationships for me, and it's 1 is strong, 2 is cordial, and then 3 is eliminated. So I have my core of like strong relationships. That's like my family, my core group of friends, and people that I love being around that give me good energy. And then there's cordial. And sometimes family falls under cordial. It's like they're not people that I have this strong relationship with, but I'm cordial with them and I accept them and I love them anyway. I'm going to keep them at a distance, right? So that's cordial, and it's okay. Like that, they can stay in your life in that column. And then there's eliminate. It's people that are really, it's just negative. It's not serving you. You don't need them in your life. And then if that's the case, then it's a great time to either, you can do 2 things, right? If it's someone that you really love and care about, but they're bringing in negativity into your life, is have a conversation with them right now and try to clean that all up and find the love. But if it's someone that 100% that is just, you're done, then, just let it go and eliminate it and free yourself and do it with a peaceful, loving way.
Right. So, and we can also mute certain people as well. If somebody's getting annoying temporarily and we don't want to unfollow, we can mute them on Instagram and we can see less of their posts. So there's other things that technology allows us to do to give us a break. But I love what you said, that it's good to have different views from ours, because that way we don't get into this echo chamber of just what we love and what we like. And, we want to have a diverse group of opinions.
Yeah. If we immediately run to eliminating someone or, because they said something negative, then it's not building our muscle of tolerance, because we're running away from it. If we can just be with it and be like, okay, this person said something bad, or they said something negative, and it doesn't mean anything about me. It's a reflection of them. And, it's not consuming you for the rest of your day. Then you're building that muscle of being okay with people having all different opinions.
Agreed.
So
beautiful.
There's that. Then there's money spending habits. And Veronica and I were talking a little earlier about how, again, the environment is supporting healthier money spending habits. So what are things that we spend on that we can do ourselves? And then what are habits that we've been wanting to release for a long time that we can actually, let go of now? Veronica, what's been your experience with your money spending habits?
I've been having to watch my money spending habits for longer than we've been in quarantine because of a lot of personal changes. So a lot of things that were essential to me before are not anymore. So I recently had to cancel, a spa membership that I had that was, to me, super important, but really it's not essential. And, getting food delivered and having somebody come help me clean, all that stuff is stuff that I've had to do now myself and really check myself and realize that these are things that I need to save money on. And that's where I've been with it. I mean, and it also makes you stop and think twice about what you need and if you really need it. And it really helps me evaluate, why is this important to me? And some things I still do spend money on or invest in for my health, but it's pretty limited now.
Yeah.
What about you?
So for me, I love everything you said, but someone said I mute my husband all the time, and that just made me, that's hilarious.
I know, I love that.
So I think, a lot of people are doing things on their own because we don't have a choice. Things are closed. Nail shops are closed. Barber shops are closed, and my hair is so long. Like, I was due for a haircut right before this happened, and they canceled it. Like, I got an email saying, hey, this haircut's not going to happen. So my hair is like super long, but some people are cutting their own hair. Some people are, I'm doing my own nails and cooking more. So it's like, what skills are you attaining or you learning that you typically pay for And the fact that things are closed, like movie theaters and concerts and other things like that, you know, it's like, what a perfect opportunity to look at like what spending habits have been essential, and how many of my spending habits have been almost like an escape. I'm going to spend this money because I'm going to go escape, you know, my real life responsibilities.
Let's not talk about my TJ Maxx like addiction. That's what that brought to mind.
Yeah. So I really I challenge everyone to really look at your money spending habits. Where do you go shopping? What events do you go to? And what are the things that suffer because of that? Because you're giving your attention and your money to something else. So it's, you know, guys, there's always, no matter how bad a situation, there's always an opportunity. And there's really such an opportunity for growth right now, for growth and for wellness and for self-love. It's beautiful.
And I'll just say, my sister jumped in. She's been in Italy, in Florence, and she commented that her and her husband have been making their own bread and their own mayo, and I've been following them, and they cook at home all the time, and their food looks delicious. So they really like sharpened their knives at home and gotten busy with that. So I encourage you guys, if you can, make your own bread, figure it out, and see what happens.
Yes, and we know you're all making banana bread, so you won't have to spend on banana bread. Love it. Okay, and then lastly, our credit score. So the reason I added that to the agenda is because I recently did something to detox my credit score, and my credit score went up 40 to 50 points depending on the bureau. So I'll just talk about quickly, I have some notes here about the things that affect our credit score, but first I'll tell you how I was able to do that. So I saw that there was a missed payment on one of my credit cards like 2 years ago, and I think it was a TJ Maxx credit card. It was a retail credit card that I used once, and I never used it again. But I think that I don't know, if I don't even remember. I think it was a missed payment, but because it was 2 years ago and it was my only missed payment, the rest of my credit history was excellent, exceptional. So it was almost like that little splinter that was like not allowing my credit to, you know, rise. And so I went on Experian and I didn't even know you could do this. Like, you could dispute something on your credit score. And the reason I didn't know that is because I avoided my credit score. You know, I just didn't want to really look at it. But in this time, I said, I'm going to face my credit score. So I went on and I looked at all the details, and I noticed that there was something holding my credit back. And then I saw that there was a way to dispute that. So again, totally could have been late. But what I did was I called and I made the case that I wasn't. Because it was 2 years ago and it was once, right? And I tried calling the retailer first and they were not able to provide me that information. So for that reason, I called the credit bureau and I said, I don't have access to this. I don't know that that's accurate. So would you, so I wanted to dispute it, and they totally did. And they spoke to the retailer. What ended up happening first is that credit account was closed by the retailer. And people will tell you, oh, it's not a good idea to close your credit cards because it could decrease your credit score, which it did. In the beginning, it decreased my credit score like 6 points. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have made that dispute. My credit score ended up going down. But a couple weeks later, it jumped up like 40 to 50 points.
Oh my God, that's so worth it.
Yeah. And so what I discovered is that if it's a credit card that has not been open for a longer period of time, it won't affect your credit score as much because it's a short-term line of credit, and the length of your credit also affects your score overall. So you want a high length of credit. If it's a credit card that you've had for 10 years, then you don't want to close it because that's going to affect the length of your credit. But if it's a credit card that you opened last year or 2 years ago and it's not, you have longer lines of credit, then definitely consider taking on that option. So face your credit score, look at the little details and see where you can call or when you can, do a dispute. I did it all online. I didn't even have to call anyone. And all my 3 credit scores suddenly jumped up. So I'm super excited. The only thing that I need right now is a longer length of credit because I didn't have a social security number until I was 25, and so I have a shorter overall average credit. But other things, I know some people have asked me separately also about credit. Other things that affect your credit are the usage. How much of your credit are you using? You want to keep that low. You want to have high credit amounts, but use it minimally. The balance that you owe, you want to owe a low balance. So that's like, those are the two biggest things that affect your credit, the balance that you owe and the usage. Then there's, again, the length of your payment of your credit, and then your payment history. How many payments have you missed? Any derogatory marks? And then inquiries, of course, if someone's checking your credit as a hard inquiry, it will decline your credit by a few points. And then credit mix. Credit mix is like, what varieties of credit lines do you have? If you have like an auto loan and a home loan and credit cards and different varieties, it's also helpful. So there's that. Is definitely take time to look at the details of your credit and see where you can detox and where you can, you know, some things are out of our control, but some things you'd be surprised you can actually make a case for them. Mm-hmm. So what's been your experience with that, Veronica?
I've been similarly getting the courage to look at my finances and credit score and taking baby steps to remediating certain things that were on there. Like you said, I followed your example because you inspired me when you shared that with me. And the other thing I'll say, I was talking to a life coaching client about credit, and the numbers around the usage is you want to keep your balance below 30%. And also, to build your credit, you can run very small charges on it. Like if you decided to keep Netflix, run your Netflix bill on there and then pay it off in full. And so that can really, really help increase your credit score. So I just, echo everything that you said. And I'm good at a lot of stuff in my life, but right now, confronting my finances is something that's probably one of the harder things that I'm doing, because I was so used to having a lot of resources and not having to worry about it, and things have changed. So it's nice to be humbled. And I'll say also, Boss Chulas is commenting, and she said you always want to pay the higher interest credit card first. So the large payment if possible. Yeah. So there's a ton of, resources out there as well.
Yes. And yes, I love that. And Veronica, just to comment on what you said, you're taking time to discover this isn't so bad. I mean, you're in this beautiful location. You get to have amazing food. Like, you have it good, girl. I know. But I love that. I love that you are reflecting on certain things on your life, and you have the time, and it's such a blessing to have the time and the ability to do that. And another thing that I was going to say is that if you have a credit card that you don't use anymore, but you've had it for a long time, then use it once a year and then pay it off, because that'll keep it active. The retailer won't close it. You don't actually want that to close, because you want it to keep your length of credit long. Mm-hmm. So use it once a year, pay it off, and that'll keep it active so the retailer won't close it.
Totally.
So, yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for joining. I can't wait to go through all your comments, and it always makes me feel so good to share this information with you all, and to see Veronica, and the fact that we kind of have this, like you said, we are on different sides of the spectrum with our lives, but also certain things that happen then throughout this time. So it's great. Like, thank you for sharing with us about Georgia and how things are, happening over there now that certain non-essential businesses are open. I think there's going to be so much to see in the coming months. And like I said, you guys, there are opportunities within the dark times. So seek those out and be empowered by them.
I agree. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Hoy and Tomorrow. We are honored to continue to do this work. It just really changes how we feel. And feel free to send us any messages on any questions or topics that you want to see us discuss. We're happy to continue to be of service.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, take this time to detox your life, because guess what? You're not always going to have this opportunity. Do it now.
Yes. Do it now, guys. Detox. Awesome.
All right.
Great seeing you.